to come.
Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Keystone Film Review. We just saw Dune Part 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve, written by Denis Villeneuve, John Spates, and based on the novel by Frank Herbert, starring Timothée Chalamet. Is it Zendaya or Zendaya? I forget which one it is. Zendaya. Let's go with Zendaya. Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken, Austin Butler, Skarsgård. And David Bautista, and that's where I'll stop because there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of names in here.
Of course, this is the second one in the most recent adaptation of the famous science fiction novel. Disclaimer: neither of us have read the book.
Yes.
Our only frame of reference is the David Lynch film from the 80s. I want to say. We're not going to know what the book's like, so if that's what you're looking for, just stop right now.
We're not going to know how big the worms are, even if they are small or big.
Yes. As we know, science fiction fans are very calm people. So, without any further ado, Glenn!
Yes.
What did you think of Dune Part 2?
Ooh, Dune Part 2. Also a frame of reference to my brain. I don't remember much of the first one. I should have recapped before this movie. I didn't have time. Well, I did have time. I just didn't aqueduct to that.
You didn't make time to watch
I didn't make time to watch. I should have watched a recap or something. But with all that in my mind, this was a pleasant little watch for me. I didn't check my phone for the solid 3 hours that was the movie. I had a joyous time watching it. There was a lot of names in here, like you just said, that all shined. Especially to me, I thought Austin Butler was amazing in this, for how his strong silent type and bald head and shining off that gleaming thing. I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. Is what I'll say.
Yes. So big news from what I've read is a lot of people are praising Austin Butler, saying that he's the best villain since Heath Ledger as the Joker, and then they had someone else that they compared him to, and I do not recall who it was. But I gotta say, I disagree.
Yeah, I don't know. Was there actual people saying that?
Yeah, there were. It was. I saw two articles, and knowing how journalism works, it's probably the same article that they just copied and pasted to, get clicks and stuff. I was underwhelmed by his performance personally. I thought he was just imitating Stellan Skarsgård. Which makes sense because they're related, but at the same time, he did it too much. I speak like my dad speaks, but I have a different voice than my dad, where he was just doing a straight imitation of Stellan Skarsgård minus the fat suit. So, yeah, I was just, I don't know. I felt like he was just kind of doing the cliche licking of the knife. I hate it in movies when people do that because it's overdone. Like, yeah, sure, it's badass.
Do you think it's because those articles that it's swaying you to be underwhelmed by his performance?
Yes, it could be. It could be the articles that have, gave my expectations too much. I'll be fair to Austin. Mind you, he's good in it.
Yes.
But he obviously everyone knows he got stuck in the Elvis voice.
Yeah, the fact that he didn't say peanut butter banana sandwich once, upsetting. But
I really wished he kind of made his own voice instead of just imitating Stellan Skarsgård. That might have been a directorial choice.
I would say for his accents, the way, the deepness of it I liked, but the way he accented it to make it sound like Stellan's voice it was a little too much for sure.
Yeah. But other than his voice performance, great. I thought he was creepy. There are some directorial choices that, he's just listening to the director that I don't think were the best options. But other than that, I really like this movie for the most part. I did rewatch the first one, so I have more frame of reference. And one thing I wish about this one is that there's a lot of parts in the first one that were more slow-paced, and I feel like this jumped around a lot, which again could be how the book is, but when you're not reading it, it goes very fast.
Yeah.
So it's you're never gonna train on the worms. Oh, the next scene you're training on the worms.
Yeah.
There's no build up to that. So things were just a little too fast paced.
Especially the beginning of what you're saying is like they were like, hey, you gotta cross all the way over to that sand dune over there.
Alone.
It's gonna be alone in a day. It skips to like him not even like finishing the end of the trek. He just was already done and then moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
A lot of moments like that had me scared because there was rumored that Warner Brothers was like, hey, we only want 2 Dune movies. We don't want to do 3. We can't shell out that kind of money, I guess, the way that he's doing it.
They are deleting stuff.
But I was scared when they were doing that in the beginning that it was going to be only 2 movies. So I'm like, oh, fuck, they're going to skip a lot of things and it's going to feel super rushed and it's all going to be just not working well to be like a good end result of the whole thing in just one movie.
Yeah.
Luckily, it didn't do that.
Yeah, it did. I do feel it glanced over some stuff.
It did, for
but
sure do that.
you know, where the first one, I don't want to even say fails. The first one's more of like an escape movie, where this one was like a war movie, where there's a lot of battle sequences and a lot of, you know, espionage and stuff like that, which was kind of cool. I use the word espionage very loosely, like it's just them spying from afar.
Yeah.
What's that word?
I'm glad you actually said that. That was a point that I was gonna say. Like anybody who's like kind of military like minded or just into that kind of thing, I feel like they'll definitely like this movie.
Yeah, it's very tactical.
There's a lot of like little battles, like mini battle sequences that happens, especially when they're on like, I don't know what the like the little dragonfly ships that they have, but especially when they're on
called
those
X-Wings.
Yeah, the X-Wings.
Just kidding. Just kidding, sci-fi fans.
Wrong base. But especially when they're on that and they're shooting off that thing with their little Gatling guns that sound like
Yeah.
And then just like I'm not even gonna try to say the words of, oh god,
Describe.
of Timothee's tribe people,
The Fremen.
Fremen, especially when they're like tactically being like stealthy and everything in the sand and everything. It's all really cool to watch, and I know anybody, especially any of my military friends that I have, they'd be like, this shit's fucking hard, man. This is awesome. But like as you were saying, like the whole war thing aspect, they really nailed that part, especially where the first movie was a lot more slower in setting stuff up, that I remember at least.
Yeah. It definitely feels like this one is leaning more towards what my understanding of what the book is. Again, I did not read it, but from what I understand from conversations with my dad and other people who have read it, is that it's more of like a story about how his ego kind of takes over at some point. Again, could be wrong. That's just what I gather from conversations. Please be nice in the comments.
I mean, it definitely shows that in this movie. He even states, he's like, listen, that was my dad. That's not me. I don't give a
Yeah.
He pretty much says that almost verbatim in this.
But it does seem like it's leaning more towards that way, which is a much more interesting story than what I remember from the David Lynch version. Not to keep knocking on the David Lynch version, but it's not a very good movie.
Just what we know.
Yes, it's just what we know. Denis Villeneuve is always great visually. Hans Zimmer, great with the soundtrack as usual. Performances were great all around. It was very hard to not buy into the prophecy of what was told myself. Like I
as it was written.
But I mean, obviously there's two sides within the Fremen. One side that believes the prophecy, one side that doesn't. I tend to lean always towards the side that doesn't believe in things because it's more grounded in our reality on Earth. But you know, when Timothée Chalamet is out there giving grandiose speeches and getting everyone riled up, I was just like, yeah!
And then you got Javier Bardem being the hype man. As it
was written! Yes! Javier Bardem. Honestly, he's my favorite character in all of this.
He is great.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, really loved it. Loved the lore that it built. Obviously expanded more beyond, I forget, the House Atreides planet, but then also Arrakis. It showed the Emperor's planet. Showed the Harkonnens planet, the one with the black sun, which was dope.
Too many names to remember. My brain. I can't even remember names in this planet.
But yeah, it was just very cool to see the lore being built. Because obviously Warner Brothers, when the first one came out, was just like, let's just dip our toes in. Keep the budget lower as possible. It's still an expensive movie, but keep it as low as possible. only stick to 2 planets.
Yeah.
And then this one was just like, bam!
Bada bing!
Look at this world. And
Here's some visions of other shit, too.
Yeah, when I went out, I liked the first one, but when I left it, I was like, if the second one never gets made, whatever. Because that came out 2021, I want to say, when the future of Warner Brothers and movies in general was very skeptical. So, but now I'm hyped for the third one. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great ending. Hopefully,
I'm very glad that they're not sticking with 2 movies. The fact that we just came out of the second movie helps a lot with that. And they definitely needed to expand on what else was going to. There's no way, as much as they showed in this movie, there was no way that they were going to be able to do what they wrap it up in 2 movies.
Yeah.
I don't know where I saw that.
I don't know how David Lynch even got to the point, because the David Lynch one ends where this one ends.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how he jammed all that. By making a not great movie, which I think he would agree with.
Yeah, I think this was very well paced. Like, I didn't check my phone. If I did, it was because a message popped up. But I wasn't checking my phone. I really liked how it was paced. It could have used maybe another 10 minutes of just, the parts where, hey, you can't do this worm thing. Boom.
Yeah. Towards the beginning with,
it's mainly the beginning stuff.
It's where it's just like, oh, he's not welcome here. Oh, he's welcome here now.
Hey, go to that sand dune over there. Boom, he's already there.
Yeah.
Just that little filler would have been nice to have. You probably can't answer this question, but why would they do the sandwalk and then not do the sandwalk after they do the sandwalk?
Because some places are not worm territory. I don't know what the word they use. Wormlands, I think, is what Zendaya says. My guess is that.
I know for the movie,
I think geologically. It's probably like Tremors, where the land underneath the sand where they are is just hard rock, and the sand's not deep enough. That's what I'm gathering. I don't know. Be nice in the comments.
Yeah, just tell us without being mean. I don't know why would they only do the sandwalk sometimes.
But I think it's because the worms can't get to every spot that they were walking.
Well, but yeah, I think I enjoyed this movie that I remember more than the first one.
I definitely enjoyed it more than the first one. Not that the first one's bad. I gave it 4 out of 5.
I think I did give it a 3.5.
Yeah.
I'd like to rewatch it again. But now that I know that there's a third one, I might save that and then crank these 2 out.
Yeah.
Get ready for that third one. Especially since I enjoyed this one so much.
The last thing I have to say is that my pet peeve with a lot of hand-to-hand combat scenes in movies is that, especially now, there's that trend of holding on one shot as long as possible, and when you do that, it's obvious that it's choreographed. The hand-to-hand combat scenes in this, while holding on one shot for as long as possible, still felt pretty natural.
Yeah.
There was a few things where, Timothée Chalamet did a barrel roll, which is a horrible tactical plan.
6 flips in a row.
Yeah, it's horrible tactical plan, but that really only happened once, and then the rest of it felt pretty natural. So kudos to the stunt team and the choreographers. And if it was Timothée Chalamet and Austin Butler in the fights, that's not a spoiler. That's just in the book. And if you've seen the David Lynch version, they fight in the David Lynch version. Those characters.
Let them fight.
I was very impressed with the choreography of the fights in this. So, ratings?
I think a solid 4 for this one.
Yeah.
I would like to probably lean more of a 4.2. But I don't want to give it a full 4.5.
Yeah.
But an upper 4-ish. I think 4 for sure.
I am going to give this a 4.5. Because I liked it more than the first one. The first one is still a 4 for me, and you can only go to 4.5 from there. I think it's the only reason it's not a 5 for me is the rushing in the beginning. If it weren't for that, I probably would have just had no complaints about this at all.
Yeah.
If it weren't for Austin Butler's voice, no complaints.
The only thing, other than the rushing and a little bit of rushing in the beginning, was, oh man, Dave Bautista didn't stand out compared to Austin Butler, and that's crazy to me.
I think that's the idea.
No, I know it's the idea. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Good for Austin Butler. I really enjoyed him in this movie. I was surprised by that.
I enjoyed him other than his choice of voice.
Yeah.
But again, that could have been a directorial thing. Who knows? I don't know whose choice it was. But the entire...
I guess it would have helped if Bautista had that same cadence to his voice.
Yes,
too.
It kind of broke
That way,
Like-
that way, it felt like they were all family, and they
Yeah.
had that same cadence.
And yes, you could argue that he was trying to be more like the Baron than Dave Bautista was. Sure, whatever. But if you've seen the movie, it's damn near exactly like Stellan Skarsgård.
Remember, when you tell us what really is the reason that he's got this accent, be nice in the
Be
comments.
nice. We
Please
didn't
be
read the
nice.
book. We're just dumb guys who watched the David Lynch version. And then,
Although I will say, him and Stellan did kiss. Maybe they transferred the accents.
yeah,
They kissed twice, actually.
and that was, you could tell that wasn't their first kiss either. They're Tom Brady's. But yeah, so that is what we thought of Dune Part 2. If you saw it, let us know down in the comments. Did you get the worm bucket? Did you get the Dune promotional bucket, you perverts?
Did you have the fun we did not?
We didn't, because we only went to Regal and not AMC. I saw it being sold on eBay for $850 while the others ones are selling for $50. So that guy's out of his fucking mind if he thinks
I can only take out a small loan.
Let us know down in the comments. Goodbye, everybody, and be nice.
Be nice.